from CBS Sports.
High drive, center field, hit the wall, grand slam. This is magnificent.
Got a fantasy question? Email fantasybaseball@cbsi.com. Get ready to win your league.
Where fantasy becomes reality.
Now here's Frank, Scott, Chris, and Adam.
.60 ERA, 3.00 whip, negative 13 fantasy points. That's what you received Monday if you started Luis Castillo. Welcome into Fantasy Baseball today on Tuesday, August 10th. Finally, we're all back. Frank Stanfield joined by Scott White and a near beardless Chris Towers. Let's talk about this for a second, Chris. What happened?
It was time to trim my beard, my face underneath. I've got a whole skincare routine, but it just wasn't getting the job done. My face underneath was getting very itchy and irritated. So I just had to burn the whole thing down, go down to a 2 on the old razor-ometer. And on the one hand, no hair, short beard for the first time combo. I think I look a little skinnier.
You definitely look younger.
Or my head just looks tiny on top. Like remember the character in Men in Black, the guy who runs the shop? Whose like head grows back after they shoot it off? That's what I feel like I look like right now after he gets shot. Like my voice needs to get higher and higher, higher. Yeah, like that. That very timely reference.
You know what it reminds me of, Chris? Did any of your animals react weirdly when they saw you? Because I like watching those videos where fathers shave their beards and then babies start crying because they can't recognize that that's their dad anymore.
My wife started crying.
You would like that, Frank.
No, that was a running theme in my family for like my wife's family. Everyone started having kids like 5 years ago, and nobody else in the family has a beard. So every time they saw me, the kids, the babies, they would cry and cry and cry because they didn't understand. I mean, one, I just like, who doesn't cry when they see me? But two,
oh, stop.
They've never seen a person with a big fuzzy thing on their face. They don't know how to react. It was a natural reaction, I think.
Scott, I heard that little jab in there.
Yeah, well, it's just a funny thing to enjoy watching. Babies cry.
I love
it's just the whole situation, right? It's like the reason why they're crying. I don't actually just like babies crying, but it's pretty interesting, right? That they can actually fathom that and understand. But
I love watching when babies are tasting things for the first time that they don't like.
Oh,
that will never not be funny. My niece tasted tomatoes for the first time and they took a video and she was so upset and it was hilarious. So I'm with you. Babies reacting to things negatively. Funny stuff.
Today on the pod, by the way, there's only 4 games on Monday, so we're probably going to talk about some wacky stuff to fill some air. No, we're going to recap everything that happened. Luis Castillo, very bad. Eloy Jimenez, very good. The most added and most dropped players following waiver wire on Monday. We've got Fantasy Feud. We're going to fire that back up. Some Team Name Tuesday, and we do have some of your email questions, but let's get things started.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
All right, Chris. Let's do it.
Oh, you want me to go first? Okay, I thought I was being asked to host again. Luis Castillo, we got to talk about it.
Top host.
No, thank you. On behalf of everyone involved, 7 hits, 8 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings for Luis Castillo. The defense behind him had some mistakes, but I don't know if he earned a, what did you say, 21.3 ERA?
21.6.
But he didn't pitch well today. 7 hard hit balls, only 6 swinging strikes on 71 pitches, 20 caught plus swinging strikes.
That's called strikes plus.
Called plus swinging strikes. So yeah, 20% on that. It was just a bad start all around. And that goes without saying when you give up 8 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings. So I don't know. As with early in the season, it's not like you can point to something and say, ha, I know why Luis Castillo was bad today. He just got hit really hard on basically every pitch except the changeup. He got 0 whiffs on his fastball on 33 of them between the sinker and the four-seamer. And yeah, that's what happens. He just pitched poorly. But given how good he had been for, at this point, more than half of the season in his most recent stretch, I don't think there's anything to be concerned about. And if this hadn't come in a season where he was really bad in the month of April and May, we'd just be like, it happens, Luis Castillo.
Yeah. And I'm inclined to say that anyway. That to put specifics on it, it was an 11 start stretch with a 1.95 ERA, 111 WHIP, 9.5 K per 9. Because he entered June with an ERA over 7, and then you tack this start on at the end, his season ERA now is 4.53. But it's obviously misleading, and I think we should just give Castillo
give the man credit.
I think we should
stretch.
A 12-start stretch?
Yeah.
Including this one. No? I
No,
got it
no.
wrong?
No.
Okay.
From June 1st, 191 ERA over 12 starts. Give the man some credit.
I will have to change that in my column then, because I only put 11.
Yeah, that's what I have. 12 starts prior to today, 1.91 ERA, 1.12 WHIP, 80 strikeouts to 31 walks, over 75 and a third innings pitched during that stretch. He had a 57% ground ball rate and a 14% swinging strike rate. Those are exactly the things that we look for in a starting pitcher. Ground balls, swinging strikes. The walks are a little bit high, but they always are with Luis Castillo. I don't think there's anything to see here. I'm with you, Chris. I don't know if you guys believe in a player being due, but kind of seemed like Luis Castillo was just kind of due for one of these starts. So prior 12 starts, again, were awesome for him. And how did they do that? How did Cleveland do this? Who scored all these runs? Jose Ramirez went 2 for 4 with his 25th home run, and he's been running more recently as well. He's up to 13 steals on the season, only batting 257, but it seems like he's had some bad luck. Batted down, expected batting average is 278 for Jose Ramirez. I did want to bring up Amed Rosario, who seems to be heating up again. 4 for 5 with a double, a triple, and 2 runs scored in this game. Over his last 15 games, he's batting 350 with 1 homer, 3 steals, 47% rostered. He's got outfield shortstop eligibility. Scott, I know you weren't really buying in on Amed Rosario earlier in the season. Anything to see here, maybe in a categories league?
How desperate are you for steals? That's ultimately what it comes down to. He's not going to give you a lot of them. He will give you some of them. And a pretty hollow batting average, maybe, to go with it.
He should really run more, is my take. Like, he's been so efficient this season. He's 12-0 on caught stealings. This is like the first year that he's been efficient, and partially those things are related, but like, give me more steal attempts, Amed Rosario. Let's see it. Come on.
Yeah, I'm all for it too. And Cleveland is a team that likes to run, so I'm surprised he hasn't run more. But when things are going well for him, he could provide some batting average, some runs scored. Those have been solid categories for him this season. A few other things happen in this game. Wilson Ramos has played 2 games for Cleveland. He has 2 home runs in those games. He's 8% rostered. We know who Wilson Ramos is at this point. I picked him up as a Gary Sanchez replacement in a deeper 2-catcher league. So that is an option for you. And then Bradley Zimmer, who I brought up yesterday, went 1 for 3 with his 4th home run, back-to-back days with a home run. He's batting 248 with 7 steals on the season, 5% rostered, deepest leagues, a little bit of power, a little bit of speed, doing more than we've ever seen him do before. Again, that is Bradley Zimmer. Scott, your oh my goodness gracious player from Monday.
So he's still pitching right now, which, maybe makes him a dangerous choice, but Joe Musgrove is through 4 2/3 innings against the Marlins, already has 21 swinging strikes in those 4 2/3 innings. And his previous 3 starts were pretty awesome too. So he's, after having that awesome April, he had gotten a little worse with each passing month. But now all of a sudden he's looking like April Joe Musgrove again. And I was, just before the start of the podcast here, early in the podcast, I was looking through his game by game pitch selection to see if I could really see something he's changed. I mean, it looks like he's He's relied a lot more on his curveball recently, but not so much in this start. This start, it's been the slider that's responsible for 2/3 of those whiffs, at least if it's being tracked properly. The velocity is similar on the slider and curveball. So I can't really say with confidence what's changed for Joe Musgrove. I kind of feel like, and I've said this before, because he has this 6-pitch arsenal, it makes it hard to figure out what's working for you best at any one time when you have that many pitches to work with. And so I think he kind of gets in his own way at times, and I think that might be true for you, Darvish, at times too. But he seems to have a good feel for everything right now, and when he does, we know Musgrove is capable of awesomeness.
Those previous 3 starts that you mentioned, Scott, that is 3 straight quality starts entering tonight. And if the pitch count allows him to.
Yeah, looking a little iffy. He's at like 85 through 5 1/3.
Yeah.
Or
84
through 5. So
84.
yeah, he can probably get there.
Yeah. He might be able to get 4 straight quality starts, but in the 3 prior to this one, 1.42 ERA, a near 14% swinging strike rate, 48% ground balls.
Getting through 6 and 4 straight would be a pretty big deal, because his previous 15 starts before this stretch, he only had 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 15 where he went 6 full innings or more, and 3 of them came in a row.
Yeah.
So he's been sort of jaggy since the end of April overall. Obviously, I think his May was still very good, but the lack of innings, the not great ERA for the most part during that stretch. It's good to see him turning things around. I wonder how much at Miami versus Colorado and then versus Miami in that 4th start helps.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to bring up. Only one of those starts at Oakland was against an above average opponent. So matchups definitely could be factoring in, but a nice little bounce back here for Joe Musgrove, and a nice little bounce back for Eloy Jimenez. Finally, back-to-back games, double dong, 4 homers over his last 2 games, and he absolutely crushed a few here on Monday. I believe one of them went over 450 feet for Eloy Jimenez. Yeah, 454 feet, 109.8 miles per hour off the bat. Entering Monday, it's only been like 9 games for him, but he did have a 58% ground ball rate, which hampers Eloy Jimenez at times. The expected numbers, they look pretty good, but it's just not enough. It's 24 batted balls, so it's a really small sample size, but nice to see from Eloy Jimenez finally bouncing back. I need to do a massive rankings update because I've been out for, I don't know how long, 10 days. I haven't updated my rankings, but Scott, I saw that you moved Eloy inside of your top 20. And I think,
why not? Why not?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
It's in a pretty meh position.
That's where we were drafting him. Yeah, the position looks as weak as it ever has. And I did it before the back-to-back 2-homer games, but certainly now that there's been back-to-back 2-homer games, I don't really see the justification not to do it.
Sure.
Eloy or Luis Robert in Roto?
I'll still go with Eloy for now. I don't know that the White Sox are going to let Luis Robert kind of go all out here. He had a hip injury, so if he's not running, don't really know how much he's going to provide. Lower batting average, some pop. But I do worry that he's not going to run as much since he's coming off this hip injury.
By the way, with Robert coming back, Gavin Sheets got sent down. There's no great loss. I mean, he'd only been playing part-time anyway. But also, Andrew Vaughn was out of the lineup here on Monday, which was interesting because I saw Tony La Russa, a quote from him earlier where he was talking about how improved Andrew Vaughn was as an outfielder and how much he liked him in the outfield, like as a defender, and how he regretted taking him out early and how he regretted taking him out for defensive purposes early in the season. And so, of course, the first chance he gets to start Vaughn alongside Robert and Jimenez, he chooses not to.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not Tony La Russa. Vaughn and Jimenez in the same outfield is not viable. You cannot do that. There's just no way that's going to be playable.
Well, I mean, I do think he was exaggerating how good Vaughn has become as a defender, but his defensive WAR isn't as bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah. Eloy was at DH on Monday. So, I mean, yeah. They could have.
One of them could play DH, certainly. Yeah. It's not like they have a full-time DH or 2 first basemen, unless you count Andrew Vaughn.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll pay attention, but it seems like probably just a random day off for Andrew Vaughn. He's been so good, so I don't think that they want to keep him out of the lineup for any extended period of time. Before we hit the news and notes, we'd like to welcome another fantasy football podcast to the CBS Sports family. Fantasy Football Today, DFS. Get ready to dominate daily fantasy this year with optimized lineups, stacks, perceived ownership, leverage plays, and more.
Hey, Frank, who's hosting that?
Well, I was just going to let you know, Mike McClure, Sia Najad, and me, Frank Stample, 2 times per week in the FFT DFS feed. The first episode drops on Tuesday. When you are listening to this, it'll come out later in the afternoon. Throughout August, we're going to spend a lot of time on strategy for DFS and preseason slates, but before the regular season begins, and it's going to be a ton of fun. You can download and follow the Fantasy Football Today DFS podcast on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to Fantasy Football Today or Fantasy Baseball Today. The news and notes: Fernando Tatis hit on the field Monday. He is back on the IL, which I'm sure you guys covered while I was away, with that same shoulder injury. And we'll see if he can return. But apparently, Kevin Acee at some point tweeted that Tatis will have shoulder surgery when the season is over. I don't think I'm breaking any news. It's something, again, that you guys probably talked about. But the rehab time for that surgery, is 6 months. So it could be quite. It could be.
We're rooting against the White Sox in the playoffs.
Yeah, it could be pretty worrisome for next season drafting Tatis. I mean, if he has that in October, I mean, if they make a deep run, it could be November. And then what are we looking at? May for him to be back to full strength. And then who knows? Because look at Cody Bellinger this year. I mean, it's been awful. So
one thing I will add is he also did outfield work today. And it does sound like he's going to return as an outfielder. And I wonder, once he has that shoulder surgery, whether they might consider moving him to the outfield full time. I don't know if that's been discussed. I know it's been discussed that he's probably going to play outfield for the rest of the season, which is good for his value both this year and next, getting dual eligibility at shortstop and outfield. You might actually play him at outfield, given how relatively weak that position has been. But, if you're talking from a dynasty perspective, if 2023 and beyond, he's no longer shortstop eligible, that, could make a minor difference in his value. He's still, if he keeps being a 50-50 guy like he was on pace for this season, or 50-40, whatever it is, it's not going to matter. You would play him at any position. He would be a top 2 pick if he was DH only, if he did that. But it's just worth keeping in mind.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see what happens with Fernando Tatis. Byron Buxton fielded fly balls, hit and ran the bases on Monday. He's been out with a broken hand since late June. Could definitely use Byron Buxton back. Again, outfield has been pretty bad. Justin Turner will be out a few days, and then the Dodgers will reevaluate him then. He's dealing with a slight groin injury. They haven't played yet, so if you want to and still can get Justin Turner out of your lineup, probably something you should do. Both Clayton Kershaw and Danny Duffy were shifted to the 60-day IL for the Dodgers. Kershaw is first eligible September 5th, while Duffy is first eligible September 15th. And I had someone email in today and ask if they should drop Clayton Kershaw because their playoffs start the first week of September. If anybody else is in a similar situation right now, would you be looking to drop Clayton Kershaw? Because just because he's eligible first week of September, I don't know if that's when he's actually going to be back.
Yeah, it's impossible to know that, but it's plausible he could be back that early. Like, I don't know how tight your rosters are. I don't know how many IL spots you have. If I'm playoff bound, though, I'm trying to hold on to Kershaw because he's going to be an asset if he does get back and he is fully stretched out. I mean, obviously he can start rehabbing before he's eligible to come off the IL and be ready to go, be full strength then. But, I don't know that it's going to play out that way, but it hasn't been ruled out.
Josh Donaldson was out again with that hamstring injury and has now missed 9 of the last 11 games for the Minnesota Twins. Luis Robert, we mentioned, made his return. He went 2 for 5 with a double and an RBI. As a result, Gavin Sheets was sent to the minors. Kwang-Hyun Kim was placed on the IL with left elbow inflammation, retroactive to August 8th. He struggled over his last 2 starts. Perhaps that's the reason why. Bobby Bradley went to the IL with a sore left knee. Pablo Lopez will throw a 30-pitch bullpen on Tuesday. He's on the IL right now with a right rotator cuff strain. And Jazz Chisholm went to the IL after being scratched Sunday with flu-like symptoms. And I believe he went to the COVID IL last week for a day, part of contact tracing. So,
no, I think it was also a symptoms thing with
Yeah.
him. I think he tested negative after having some symptoms.
Yeah. All right. Well, hope everything's all right there with Jazz Chisholm. We did have a Yankees news dump on Monday. Gleyber Torres went on the IL with that thumb sprain and is expected to miss 10 to 20 days, so longer than the minimum here for Gleyber. Gio Urshela suffered a setback with his hamstring and will not return this week. Luis Severino will make another rehab start on Friday and could return after that one. He went 4 innings on Sunday in his rehab outing. He had 5 strikeouts. He's 72% rostered. Is it time to make Luis Severino a must-add if he's available?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be a top 50 pitcher at least, top 50 starter at least as soon as he's back, probably higher.
Corey Kluber will make a rehab start at AA on Thursday. He is 59% rostered. How would you guys rank Severino, Kluber, and Huascar Ynoa, who is currently rehabbing for the Braves?
You just did, Frank.
Ooh, all righty.
You just
I
did.
might have, higher than Kluber, actually.
Oh, Kluber was looking so good before he got hurt. So good.
Yeah,
He
Chris,
hit it out.
did you forget that no-hitter?
That did happen.
Back when everybody was throwing a no-hitter.
By the way, Frank, I assume you haven't updated it yet, but Scott, where do you have Chris Sale ranked? That's starting pitcher.
In the top 30.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think I moved him up to 40 before I left, and now that he's starting on Saturday, I'll probably move him up again. I will move him up again. That makes sense. DJ LeMahieu was dropped to 5th in the lineup with, wait for it, Brett Gardner leading off for the Yankees. Yikes. Some prospect updates. Vidal Brujan in 13 games since getting sent down by the Tampa Bay Rays. He's batting .396 with 9 stolen bases, no home runs. Notable double dongs from big-name prospects in the minors this weekend. Pirates second baseman Nick Gonzalez, Red Sox second baseman Nick York, Mets catcher Francisco Alvarez, and the Royals promoted catcher MJ Melendez to AAA. He was batting .285 with 28 homers and a .999 OPS at AA. Scott, I know Melendez is someone that you've wrote about a few times in your prospect report. I kind of just wonder what's the long-term plan here? Because, I mean, the way that Salvador Perez is playing, he shows no signs of slowing down unless maybe they just transition him into DH, first base. I mean, he's just such an Iron Man at catcher. I don't know that they would actually do that. So I'm wondering what they do.
Yeah. I mean, they don't need to have a solution yet. MJ Melendez isn't ready yet. He just got promoted to AAA. He'd be young debuting as a catcher, even if it was next year, last I looked, he was leading the minors in home runs, but that was a week ago. So that shows you the kind of season he's having for a catcher to be leading all the minors in home runs while playing at the upper levels. Pretty impressive. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, obviously Salvador Perez is still playing great now. He's over 30. He has a lot of mileage on him. Catchers tend not to age well. I know he's locked up for a few more years, so the Royals have every incentive to keep playing him, but there's no guarantee he continues to perform at a high level for the duration of his contract. And that would make the path for Melendez pretty obvious. Otherwise, potentially trade bait, potentially a situation where they're splitting time at that position in a DH. There's a lot of things that could happen.
Yeah, we'll see. There's a few players that if they wore a different uniform, it would just feel weird. Salvador Perez is one of those players. It was Madison Bumgarner for a long time. It was like, wow, seeing him in a non-Giants uniform was definitely weird. Salvador Perez is one of those players for me. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we've got Fantasy Feud, most added, most dropped. We'll recap the rest of Monday's action. We'll do that next here on Fantasy Baseball Today. All right. Let's fire it up. Fantasy Feud. Who won last time? I think it was Chris.
It was
It
Chris.
was your boy Chris.
All right. We have the defending champ in the building.
Overcoming great odds.
Are you gentlemen ready?
So we just say our name, right?
Just say your name.
To
So
buzz in.
if I say Scott's name, does he have to answer? Like if I'm really not confident about an answer?
If you say Scott's name, you have to answer, Chris.
Any intentional noise you make.
That seems unfair.
Yeah, let's go with that. All right, let's welcome to the building Chris Towers and Scott White. Woo! I only have 3 questions here, so make them count. Are you ready?
Oh, I should have done more, Frank. We got all this time.
I know I should have. I was really struggling. I'm just like, everything I looked up, nothing was really interesting to me, so I only got 3. Sorry, guys.
Could have done like a fast money round. You know, that's always the best part of it.
Well, Chris hosted last week. Maybe next week we could have Scott White host the podcast.
That makes sense.
All right. The top 7 shortstops in Roto this season. Go.
Christopher Towers.
Chris?
That wasn't my answer. That was me buzzing in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Fernando Tatis.
A ding, ding, ding. That is the number 1 answer. Would you like to pass or play?
So the way it works is you have to get all of them, right?
No. If you leave any over, then I have a chance to steal.
Yes.
But you don't have to get all of them. And if I got 1 chance to steal,
I will play.
Woo!
I got 3 strikes, right?
For what it's worth, I think the smart money is always to play Chris, but
All right. Let's see here.
I wouldn't call myself a game show savant by any means.
I am going to guess Trey Turner.
Trey Turner is 4th on the list. You are correct. You have the number 1 and number 4 answers.
I am going to guess Bo Bichette.
Bo Bichette is number 2, 1, 2, and 4 of the top 7.
I am going to guess.
what you looking at there, Chris?
Feels a little, just a list of team names.
You're
Just
allowed-
a list of team names. That's all it is. I can share my screen if you don't believe me. But if I was cheating, I would be doing better than I am.
That is true.
Gosh, okay. Javier Baez.
Javier Baez is not one of the top 7 shortstops. I believe he's 8th.
Man.
As your first buzzer.
Marcus Simeon.
Marcus Simeon
eligible.
is shortstop eligible, and he's the number 3 shortstop this season. Fernando Tatis, Bo Bichette, Marcus Simeon, and Trey Turner are the top 4 answers on the board. You have 3 more to get with 2
Xander
buzzers.
Bogaerts.
Xander Bogaerts is not on the list.
So I got 1 strike left, and if I get it wrong, Scott can steal it.
You have 1 strike left before Scott can steal.
We're
And
over
he
here
just needs to get
whispering
one
to
to
each
steal,
other.
right?
What's up?
He just needs to get 1 to steal, right?
Have you ever seen Family Feud before?
No. I've only played it on this podcast.
You've really never watched it?
That is 100% of my exposure to the Feud. All right.
Big fan of the Feud back in the day.
God, this is a dumb answer, and I'm gonna regret it. But actually, yeah, Chris Taylor.
Chris Taylor is 5th on the list. He is number 5. You got it. 2 more.
Sweating. I think he missed too much time, so I will go with Tim Anderson.
Tim Anderson is not on the
Oh,
list.
come on.
Wow.
Throw up another X on the screen. So the top 5 answers: Tatis, Bichette, Semien, Turner, and Chris Taylor. Those are 5 of the top 7 shortstops in Roto. Scott, you are ready to steal.
I think so. I think I got a right answer here. You ready?
I'm ready.
Jorge Polanco.
Jorge Polanco is correct.
Yeah.
The steal for Scotty Dubs. Number 6.
Is the last one Brandon Crawford? That was going to be my other guess. It's not, right?
It was Brandon Crawford.
No, I'm an idiot. I never would have gotten the last one, though.
So if it makes you feel better, Scott would have stolen it no matter what.
Which
But yeah,
seems like a dumb scoring system.
the top 7, again, Tatis, Bichette,
Did
Semien,
most of the
Turner,
work.
Chris Taylor, Jorge Polanco, who's just having a fantastic season, Brandon Crawford as well, who, despite missing time on the IL, is 7th in Roto. But it was just really odd to me that Xander Bogaerts is not inside the top 7 anymore at shortstop in Roto this season. And since July 1st, 29 games, he's batting .231 with 3 homers and a .689 OPS. Any concern for Xander Bogaerts?
I think this is just kind of inevitable course correction. He was batting .350 for much of the year. I'm sure he was Sure, he was in the top 7 shortstops when that was happening.
Yeah, I mean he's got an 880 OPS. He's hitting 300. The run production numbers are curiously low for Xander Bogaerts. That's the one thing that does stand out. And in terms of home runs, this has been his worst season since 2018, or at least it's pacing to be his worst season since 2018. He's only on pace for about 24. But like he's basically having an identical season to 2020 in terms of his triple slash. Like literally could not be closer. He's within 7 points on all 3 of them. The problem is last year he had 8 home runs and 8 doubles and 11 home runs. This year he has 30 doubles, which leads the AL, but only 16 home runs, which in a points league is no worry, but in a roto league, it's gonna cost you a little bit.
Yeah, I noticed that his line drive rate has dropped about 7 percentage points from the first 3 months of the season to the last, I guess, 5 weeks or so of the season. He had a really good BABIP luck early on, and it seems like he's just having some bad BABIP luck now. So the pendulum has swung the other way, but I still would not be worried about Xander Bogaerts. I found it pretty interesting.
Header.
Yeah. All right. Next up, are you ready?
Maybe.
That worked out well for me. I only had to give one answer.
It's really a dumb game.
There are 10 starting pitchers with 15 plus quality starts this season.
Scott?
Scotty?
15 plus? That's a lot. Garrett Cole?
Garrett Cole is not one of the 10 starting pitchers.
Wow. So if Zach Wheeler.
Zach Wheeler is third on the list. Chris, would you like to pass
Only
or play?
third.
I got past this one. If this guy got the first question wrong when he's got the whole board available, I gotta pass.
All right.
I was starting at the top of the rankings anyway. Yeah. So Walker Texas Bueller.
Walker Bueller is number 1 in baseball in quality starts this season. He has 20 of them.
It's a lot of quality starts for our guy Walker,
which is just insane. Shout out to Walker Bueller.
Shout out indeed. Well, now then, next answer should be a little trickier. I'm going to say Brandon Woodruff.
Brandon Woodruff is 4th in baseball in quality starts this season.
All right.
The number 1, 3, and 4 answers are off the board.
Kevin Gausman.
Kevin Gausman is correct. He is number 9 of the top 10 in quality starts this season.
We're doing 10? Wow.
Yeah.
Gonna be here all day.
All day.
Okay. Continuing. I will say, I don't think that's right. I'm gonna say Kyle Hendricks.
Kyle Hendricks is 2nd in baseball with 17 quality starts this season to only Walker Bueller. The number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 9 answers are off the board.
Look at our guy Kyle. Everyone wrote him off at the start of the season.
Yu Darvish.
Yu Darvish is not
Real.
one of the 10.
Take him off my list then.
He only has 11 quality starts this season.
Did not see that coming. Did not see. Should I go with that answer already? I think I'm going to. I'm going to say Sean Manaea.
Sean Manaea is not.
That's got to be 3 strikes, right?
No, it's just 2.
That's
it seemed like 3.
It's just 2. Doing better than you think.
Sean Manaea has 12 quality starts this season.
I was on a roll.
Right now. You're 4 for 6.
It's all falling apart. Oh. Sandy Alcantara.
Sandy Alcantara is on the list. He has 15 quality starts on the nose.
Yes, of course he does. I knew it all along. My next answer is going to be the most impressive of all because I am going to say Lance Lynn.
Lance Lynn is not.
okay.
on the board. He has 12 quality starts this season. He did have an IL stint earlier.
Yeah, there was some shorties in there for Lance Lynn.
Yeah, when he first came back, they were kind of limiting him a little bit. All right, Chris, you are up with the steal opportunity. There are 4 names left on the board.
He said Max Scherzer, right? I just want to confirm. Did he say Max Scherzer?
He did not say Max Scherzer.
Max Scherzer.
All right, Max Scherzer for the steal. And
Yes.
Ooh. Unbelievable.
It's over.
Corbin Burns.
We could play the third round anyway, but
Can I do a couple? Corbin Burns got to be on there, right? No.
Scherzer only had 12. Burns only has 12.
Julio Urias.
Julio Urias only
Give
has
me one of my dark. Really? Adam Wainwright.
Adam Wainwright. That's a good guess. He has 14.
Oh,
He is not one of the 10.
I wondered about Herman Marquez.
Herman Marquez is on the list. The other names that you guys are missing: Robbie Ray, Chris Bassett, and Kyle Gibson.
I knew there was another A's guy. I just couldn't remember.
I wasn't going to
who.
get those guys. I'm sorry.
Herman Marquez was the one that I did want to highlight of this group. He is one of 3 qualified starting pitchers this season with a 50+% ground ball rate and a 14+% swinging strike rate. Just an awesome season for Herman Marquez. So
He's really good.
really, really good. All right, we'll do the last one anyway, even though
You know what's wild though? He has 14 home starts and 9 road starts. Herman Marquez does.
What are those?
He has a 3.05 ERA at home and a 4 ERA on the road, which is the opposite of how things have been for him in his career.
So weird. It just seems from year to year, those can change so drastically. It seems like that's been the case for John Gray. One year he's good at home, the next year he's not. It's just a weird place to pitch, man, and it messes you up. All right, last question here. 7 qualified hitters have an OPS over 1,100 since the All-Star break.
Scott.
Scott, you're up.
Yeah. Qualified hitters, OPS over 1,100.
Just think about who's hot.
I know. It's Joey Votto.
Joey Votto is second on the list. Chris, you have an opportunity to guess one better.
Guess one better. Okay, so if I get first place.
Then you get to choose if you want to pass or play.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. George Springer.
George Springer is third on the list. Scott, you have the opportunity here. Well, you decide, pass or play, but 2 of these 7 have already been revealed.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. I got it clinched anyway. Let's play. It's more fun to play.
7 qualified hitters have an OPS over 1,100 since the All-Star break. Votto was number 2. Springer was number 3.
Uh-huh.
Not so confident.
No, not so easy here. I feel like the CJ Crone.
CJ Crone is incorrect.
Okay. All right. Well, how about our boy Freddie Freeman?
Freddie Freeman is incorrect. Come on. 2 strikes.
Come on, man. Well, when you put it that way, the only remaining answer, somebody just had a huge week and I can't remember who. I don't think he would qualify. Okay, I'm going to say I don't think he would qualify.
Freddie Freeman, by the way, does have an OPS over 1,000 since the All-Star break.
Yes, I wasn't far off. And Chris already said George Springer. So I'm going to say, come on, man. I can't think of a good answer.
5 seconds. 4, 3, 2.
Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts is incorrect,
Yeah,
Chris.
probably doesn't qualify, right?
Probably not.
To not get shut out today, Chris, you have the opportunity to steal.
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper is number 1 on the list. Look at this guy, Bryce Harper, 1256 OPS since the All-Star break. He's got a 22% walk rate, a 14.7% strikeout rate. He's batting .370 with a 740 slug. Bryce Harper is in fuego. The
My
other
win
name
feels tainted. I thought Bryce Harper was a name I thought of too, but Then I blanked.
Springer and Harper were my top 2. Did we say the other ones on the list?
No, I was going to reveal them right now. Harper was number 1, Votto 2, Springer 3, Juan Soto was 4. Yep. By the way, Juan Soto.
I thought of him, but I just didn't think he'd qualify.
Yeah, he does. And for everyone who was kind of poo-pooing Juan Soto, he had that, rough start to the season. He is now inside the top 5 among outfielders. Like
he leads the majors in OBP.
Like nothing ever happened. Randy Arozarena is also on this list. Starling Marte, who's been awesome with Oakland.
Yeah. In India.
Yeah,
and then the last name, the one I wanted to highlight, was Rafael Ortega with the Chicago Cubs, who in the second half is batting .394, 4 homers, 4 steals, a 42% line drive rate. He's leading off consistently for a pretty bad Cubs lineup at this point, but he's only 40% rostered. One of the most added hitters from the weekend, Rafael Ortega. Any interest there? A little bit of power, a little bit of speed, hitting a lot of line drives.
Yeah, he had that 3-homer game, and it's not like that's all he's done. He's been fairly productive since then. 29 or 30-year-old actually, who's mostly languished in the minors, and it's not like his numbers will bowl you over what he was putting up there. It's not like your mean Mercedes numbers, for instance, were more impressive in the minors, but Ortega showed some pop in the minors. I could see taking a chance on him in a really deep roto league, but I don't actually think there's much here.
Yeah, he showed consistent batting average skills and speed through most of his 20s, but he did not have double-digit homers until 2019 when he was a 28-year-old at AAA.
And he had 21. It was
there
not
does
just
seem,
double digit.
Right, yeah, and there does seem to be some kind of jump or improvement in skill set because he went from 2 in the PCL in 2018 in 92 games to 21 in 2019. He's got 10 so far in 72 games this season. So I don't know. There's not nothing there, I think. It could be a bit of a late bloom kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean, 5 outfielder roto leagues, someone that can offer power and speed. It's if you're struggling there, 40% rostered, he might be available. So thought he was an interesting name. I was very surprised to see him rank that highly. All right, your champion again is Scott White. We're gonna have to play one more fantasy feud before football season starts up so we can settle this a rubber match between the two of you here. The most added and dropped hitters from the weekend. I mentioned that Rafael Ortega was 3rd on that list. Joe Adell is up to 61% rostered. He was the most added hitter this weekend. Abraham Toro Hernandez with the Seattle Mariners. He's up to 55%. Kyle Farmer, 51%. Elias Diaz, 29%. Brandon Belt is up to 37%. Carter Keyboom. Remember the name? Interesting. 26%. And then Mike Moustakas, 79%. If you guys needed a Anthony Rizzo replacement, who would you prefer between Brandon Belt or Miguel Sano, who hit his 19th home run of the season on Monday? And over his last 15 games, he's batting .254, 4 homers. He's been okay.
Yeah, I'd rather go with Belt.
I'd
rather go with Belt. I do think he's not going to play against left-handers that much because of how good Darren Ruff has been. But 2 years in a row now is just, it seems like Oracle Park is playing much better for hitters than before. And they did change their dimensions prior to the 2020 season. And Belt's been one of the biggest beneficiaries. That venue always held him back, prevented him from becoming the superstar he might have been anywhere else. But now his 2 years in a row, his numbers are amazing there, and his overall numbers are amazing too. So been hurt a lot this year, but came back strong this weekend, and I think we need to pick him up.
One thing I do want to point out regarding one of the players we talked about earlier, obviously the sample size for Joe Adell is very small. We're only talking about 25 plate appearances, 5 strikeouts and 25 plate appearances. Yeah, that's a 20% strikeout rate. If he does that, he's probably a star. But obviously, if he had one more strikeout, his strikeout rate would be 30%. So, maybe, the number's not right on that. I don't know what it actually would be. 24.
That's
24%.
Right, yeah.
2 more strikeouts. Now
2 more strikeouts, and he would be in 28% or something. So, it's too early to say on that. But at the pitch level, where he's seen, I don't know, probably 70 something pitches, maybe more, 103 pitches. There you go. So slightly smaller or larger sample size. Only an 8.7% swinging strike rate. And that was 19.9% last season. Obviously, sample size is what it is, but overall contact rate, 83% compared to 61% last season. Last season, he could not make contact on pitches in the strike zone or out. He was a 67% zone contact percentage. This year, 94%. So, again, very, very early, but the contact issues have not been as dire as they were last year. In fact, his contact numbers have been pretty incredible, and he's hitting the ball well. 4 doubles in 5 games, or 6 games. So, very good early returns for Joe Adell.
Scott, anything to see with Carter Keyboom? His last 11 games with the Nationals, 316 batting average, 2 home runs.
I don't think so. He wasn't tearing it up in the minors. He's not making especially hard contact or elevating especially well. I mean, you always got to keep an eye on the guy who was a former top prospect and still young, obviously.
Still so young. He's only 23.
But I'm not ready to say that anything's changed for him yet.
Yeah, during that stretch, a 52% ground ball rate. His exit velocity is awful. It's like 85 miles per hour. So, name to watch, still young, but I'm not seeing anything yet in the numbers with Carter Keyboom. The most dropped hitters from this weekend, Dalton Varsho, he has just 1 hit in his last 4 games. Harrison Bader has just 6 hits in his last 10 games. Luis Arias has started just 2 of his last 6 games. JD Davis has started just 2 of his last 5 games. And Jarren Duran, who was on the COVID IL this weekend, he did return Sunday, played against a lefty. Varsho, Bader, Arias, JD Davis, Jarren Duran. Anyone there that should not be dropped?
I'm not ready to drop Bader. Obviously, I may have over-touted him when his strikeout rate was, like 16% there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And he's fallen on hard times since then. But, the overall numbers still look very good. And I had him as my top sleeper hitter for this week because of the Cardinals matchups. So it'll be good to see how that goes. If it doesn't pan out, then maybe I move on. But I'm not ready to move on yet. This guy who can contribute to all 5 categories, or at least 4. The batting average is the biggest question, and that's dependent on the strikeout rate. I also think it's premature to drop Varsho, just because, obviously not playing him in the outfield, you're playing him a catcher. But he's getting an honest chance now, and got hot there for a little while.
The most added and dropped hitters from this weekend. Most added will start Luis Gil, up to 41%. Cal Quantrill, 56%. Jonathan Loaizaga, 42%. More on the Yankees bullpen in just a little bit. That game is a train wreck. Dylan Floro, 26%. Logan Webb up to 67%. Luis Patino up to 62%. And Josiah Gray is now up to 69%. Just quickly touch on Luis Patino. Is this only because he lines up for 2 starts at Boston, at Minnesota? He's been pretty inconsistent and actually quite bad outside of that 1 start against the Yankees. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I think he had pretty good projected numbers for this week in the CBS system, so that might explain why as well. But yeah, I mean, he's got pretty good control, pretty good strikeout rate, and he's one of the most extreme fly ball pitchers in baseball so far this season. It's a 36 inning sample size, so can't take too much away from it. But like he's at 1.5 home runs per 9, which is pretty bad. And that's with a 10.7% home run to fly ball rate, which is actually below average. So he is very much earning the 4.42 ERA he's got. I think there are definitely things you can look at and say, I can see this guy getting to the point where he is a must-start fantasy pitcher, but right now I don't think he's there. I wouldn't have wanted to start him in a roto league in this week. I'm not sure, Scott, we even really talked about him in the 2-start pitcher preview. He was pretty
we did. He was in my 10 sleeper pitchers, and not that I was super enthusiastic about him. It's just, somebody's got to be in the 10 sleeper pitchers, and among the 2-start options that were available, he at least shows some upside.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the 2-start status had a lot to do with him getting picked up now when, it might have made more sense. The enthusiasm might have made more sense after that Yankees start when he looked so good.
One thing he does have going for him, I will say, is 54% fly ball rate. That's very, very high, but 14% infield fly ball rate. So, all of those fly balls, a lot of them have been relatively harmless. So if you're going to be a high fly ball rate guy, that's one way that Marco Estrada, the most cited pitcher in fantasy baseball today history, that's one way he got away with that trick.
There's no way that any other podcast brings up the name Marco Estrada as much as we do. I don't know how it happens. He's like the poster child for
everything. Because he was a high fly ball rate pitcher, 59.5%, who for a stretch of 5 years really was actually a quite good fantasy option. Despite not really getting a lot of strikeouts outside of one season, despite having good but mostly not great control, he just got a ton of infield fly balls and induced a ton of weak contact. And, if Luis Patino can be a 10K per 9 guy while also doing that trick, he does look a little more interesting. His xERA is 3.77. It's better than his FIP or xFIP. And, so that does suggest maybe some quality of contact suppression, but it's still too early to say definitively that he can be that kind of outlier.
Josiah Gray up to 69% rostered. Scott, should that number be higher?
Yes. Yep. I can't imagine any league where I would let Josiah Gray go unclaimed at this point.
The most dropped pitchers from this weekend: Michael Wacha, Tyler McGill, Keith Hembry, Brad Hand, and Andrew Heaney. Some leftovers from Monday. We will get into this Yankee game, but Luke Voit, a little bit of a revenge tour here. He's currently 2 for 5. Game is still going. He hit a go-ahead solo home run in the 9th inning. He's getting the opportunity to play with Anthony Rizzo on the IL with COVID. The pitcher who started the opposite of Luke Voit in that game was Carlos Hernandez, who was actually pretty good. 6 2/3, 5 hits, 1 run, only 3 strikeouts. But over his last 3 starts, 2 earned runs, 17.2 innings pitched, only 13 strikeouts. He's interesting. He's 17% rostered. He throws hard. He has 2 different fastballs. He has a few breaking pitches that he uses. Any interest, Carlos Hernandez?
He throws very hard. Like he averages more than 97 on his fastball, but the minor league numbers aren't good. He doesn't get a lot of whiffs. I'm just, 3 good starts in a row. And so maybe there's something there, but I don't, in the normal ways I evaluate pitchers, I don't see it.
On the other side, starting for the Yankees, Jameson Taillon at the Royals, 6+ innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 4 strikeouts. Now has a quality start in 5 of his last 7 starts, a 1.46 ERA during that span, 39 strikeouts, over 43 1/3 innings pitched. Chris, I know that you've been not a believer in Jameson Taillon, and he gives up a lot of fly balls. He doesn't get a ton of swinging strikes, so I understand why, but quality starts in 5 of his last 7 now. Are you starting to buy in?
It's just hard to make sense of it because, even today, you look at it and he gave up 6 hard hit balls, which in a 6-inning start, that's not terrible, but it's not great. Average exit velocity was 88.1 miles per hour. Again, not great, not terrible. 8 swinging strikes, a 23% called strike plus whiff rate. I got it right that time. And so all of the component parts of what he did tonight, just like all the component parts of what he's done during this stretch, have just been, And so I'm not sure exactly what to make of it. He's definitely been better than I expected, and I'm feeling a little dumb, but I'm still very skeptical. He's not doing anything to impress me.
I mean, the normal things that we use to judge starting pitchers, he hasn't really been good at. He's entering today over his last 6 starts. He had a 4.63 xFIP because he does allow as many fly balls as he does. I mean, the one thing that the few things that he's doing right, he's getting a lot of first pitch strikes and he's getting batters to chase. So those are going to help you if you're a starting pitcher. He's up to 95% roster, so he's not available anywhere. I mean, I think as long as he's pitching this well, you continue to ride it out.
Yeah.
It's not even a matchups thing either. He faced the Red Sox twice in this stretch, Houston once, Baltimore, Miami.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think you're playing with fire. I'm a little more hopeful than it sounds like Chris is, but I wouldn't say I'm trusting in it. I mean, it goes against, like I said, for Carlos Hernandez, the normal ways I would evaluate a pitcher. Jameson Taillon doesn't come out favorably. And yet, just because of his history, his backstory, his pedigree going way back when, I don't know. I could kind of see how maybe he's putting, like, what I want to see more of is what happened last start, right? He got 18 swinging strikes in his last start. And I'm like, okay, maybe he's pulling it all together, but he didn't follow up with anywhere close to that in this start. So it's like, is this going to be another Taijuan Walker situation where it just blows up in our faces after we get comfortable? And I'm probably yes, but we'll keep our fingers crossed for now.
Yeah, like the league average ERA is 4.26 this season. I would take the under on that for sure. So I think he'll be a slightly above average pitcher, but I think the most likely outcome rest of the season is he's pretty jaggy for fantasy purposes. Like a 3.9 ERA or something.
The last pitcher I wanted to highlight, and it's a little late to do so, but he was great. Lucas Gilito at the Minnesota Twins, 8 innings, 1 run, 0 walks to 8 strikeouts. That is the key for Gilito, keeping those walks down. The ERA down to 3.81. I would have to compare to other starting pitchers' game log on the season, but it just seems like Gilito gets blown up more than other supposed aces, I guess you could say. He has 6 starts with 4+ earned runs this season. So what have to look at others?
He must have an ERA near 4 because he also has plenty of starts like the one he had tonight where he looks like one of the best pitchers in baseball. So very, kind of a bipolar season that Lucas Giolito is having here. And, at least he's giving you a lot of strikeouts.
Yeah, the xERA is now down under 3.2. And for his career, he generally, like last season, he did underperform his xERA, but the year before he didn't. So I don't know if you can necessarily say he's likely to underperform his xERA moving forward. So when, that kind of stat and, FIP and xFIP are also a little better than his overall numbers, I'm generally willing to say that he's likely going to be probably significantly better than his overall numbers so far suggest.
Joe Musgrove, by the way, did complete that quality start. 6 innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. He finishes with 21 swinging strikes on 94 pitches. 14 of those came on the slider. So now 4 straight quality starts for Musgrove. The matchups have been very good. The call to the pen, some bullpen updates. Let me see if I can figure all of this out that's going on right now. So for the Yankees, Jonathan Loaisiga came in the 7th inning with a runner on base. He inherited that runner from Jameson Taillon. He allowed that runner to score. It tied the game. He opened the 8th inning. He allowed 2 runners to reach. Chad Green came in to inherited runners, gave up a run. Tie game again. Zach Britton comes in the 9th. He's got a 1-run lead. Luke Voigt hit a home run. He blows the game. He gives up a run. They are currently in the top of the 11th. The Yankees have scored 3 runs. It is 8-5. Oh, by the way, Clay Holmes. Yep, that's the guy. He gave up a run in the bottom of the 10th to keep this game going. So it's just been one blown save after another right now for the Yankees. I don't know if we're anywhere close to figuring out who the closer is, because yesterday we said it was Loaisiga. Today it looked like it was going to be Britton. Any feedback on the Yankees bullpen? Mess.
Well, the fact Britton blew his save chance, I think, makes it likely they'll go to somebody else. It doesn't mean they won't go to Britton next time. But I think Loaisiga, Chad Green, and Zach Britton, they might each get a save chance or 2, and then Aroldis Chapman is back. So I don't know that I'd want to invest a lot in any of them, really.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised Chad Green hasn't gotten an opportunity, but he has allowed a run in 5 of his last 10 appearances. So, that I'm sure plays into it, into the thinking as well.
Yeah, his ERA is 3.16, but just watching a lot of their games, he seems a lot worse than that. He really kind of falters in big spots, Chad Green does. For the Cincinnati Reds, Lucas Sims made his return. He pitched in the 8th inning of a blowout, for whatever that's worth. And then the Royals, Scott Barlow came in the 8th inning in a jam. He got out of it. Then Richard Lovelady gave up a couple of runs. Greg Holland just blew the game in the 11th inning. So the usual. Scott Barlow is actually good, but he was used in the biggest jam of the game. To stream or not to stream, we'll start with Tuesday. J Happ at the Pirates, Tristan McKenzie versus the A's, Luis Patino at the Red Sox, Nestor Cortez at the Royals, Daniel Lynch versus the Yankees, and Ross Stripling at the Angels.
I think McKenzie's my favorite. I don't love any of them, but I could see McKenzie, Cortez, and Stripling all having good starts.
Yeah, I think yesterday I said Stripling, Lynch, and Patino. So at least we have some intersection there with Stripling, at least.
There you go. That's the one you want. Stripling at the Angels. For Wednesday, Ryan Weathers, who, by the way, has had great matchups recently and just continues to get destroyed. Ryan Weathers versus the Marlins. Matt Harvey, the Dark Knight, versus the Tigers. Cal Quantrill versus the A's. Joe Ross at the Mets. Merrill Kelly at the Giants. And Tyler Anderson versus the Rangers, not the Mariners, because he is on the Mariners.
By the way, the Orioles have a reliever now. I forget what his first name is, but it starts with D, and his last name is Knight, like Knight. So there was a box score from last week where Matt Harvey started the game and D Knight finished it. It was just it's kind of a twist in my mind up.
But like,
that's awesome.
He should be Two-Face. Like, it doesn't make sense that Matt Harvey, like, his name's not Bruce Wayne. He's not the Dark Knight. He pitched in New York. Great. Harvey Dent is a character in Batman. You're going to make a Batman reference to a guy named Matt Harvey. It should be Two-Face.
Yeah.
I ran.
I mean, well, he was a good guy.
He was the savior of Gotham City, Chris.
Yeah, sure, they call him Harvey Dent.
The gentleman you were referring
I don't think you understand the movie, Chris.
He was a good guy for most of it.
Chris is rooting for the wrong guy. He's rooting for Two-Face. That's Dustin Knight, reliever for the Baltimore Orioles, by the way. Do you like any of these guys? Do you like any of these guys for Wednesday?
Joe Ross and Tyler Anderson are the only ones I would start.
I like Anderson, too, against the Rangers. Any love?
Yeah, I like Joe Ross the most of them.
Quantrill versus the A's. Not ready yet?
Nah. Not a good enough matchup.
All right. Team Name Tuesday. These are from Ben, and two of them, the first two, are wrestling related. Diamond Dallas Keuchel. Love it. Yep. It's Badoo Day. Yes, it is. Also great there. Not wrestling.
Okay, I get it.
You watch wrestling, Chris?
I'm aware of. I'm on Twitter.
All right. Yeah. I don't know how you kind of dip around in everything. You know
one of my best,
about everything.
A couple of my best friends, our favorite bar in South Florida was a wrestling themed bar. So,
my buddy has showed me pictures of that place.
Union Beer Store. If you're ever down there, go down to Calle Ocho, go to Union Beer Store. Excellent bar. They've got WWE playing all the time, and usually horror movies on the other TV. It's great.
That's awesome. This one's not wrestling related. Heenie, Meenie, Miner, Mo.
Yep.
And it'll probably be at least a few years until you can use this one. His name is Robert Poisson.
Yes. Robert Paulson, by the way, is there's like a well-known voice actor named Robert Paulson. Did you know this? Like, I don't know if that's what the Fight Club character's name was based on, but Raphael from the original Ninja Turtles series is voiced by Robert Paulson.
Yeah, I was going to ask Frank, do you know what that's a reference to?
No idea.
Fight.
No, you've seen that movie.
Oh, I've seen Fight Club, but I saw it once, maybe a decade ago, so I don't remember.
You don't remember Meatloaf?
Nope.
He was Robert Paulson.
Got to rewatch
Robert Paulson.
Someone emailed in,
Frank
by the way.
Know who Meatloaf is.
They let me know that Ferris Bueller's Day Off is currently on Netflix, so I will be watching it soon. From Larry,
the worst friend of all time. Ferris Bueller is a terrible, terrible person.
From Larry on Apple Podcast Review. Who told you to put the boom on? Who told you to put the boom on?
I don't get that one.
I don't get it either. I mean, I rely on you guys for this. You don't know it. There's no way.
I don't know. Sorry.
And this one's from Scott on Twitter. And the request is that Scott, Chris, you have to sing this one.
So you sent it to me, and I didn't click the song. I think I remember it.
It's Sober by Tool.
Yeah, no. I haven't heard that song in a long time, so I'm not sure if I know the melody. I think you should sing it.
I think it goes like this. I was surprised that I actually knew the song. Why must we not
that's
sober?
Yeah. I that's what I was thinking it was, but I didn't want to make a fool of myself.
It's like the only Tool song that I know. I mean, I'm sure they have great music.
You don't know Lateralis?
I might know it if I heard it.
Baseline?
But that's a good song. I like Sober. All right,
Robert,
why must we not stream Ober? Bailey Ober. Yeah, you probably don't want to stream him.
Robert Paulson was also the voice of Pinky in Pinky and the Brain.
Oh, classic.
Fun fact. All right, well, this was going to be a short podcast with only 4 games on the slate, and somehow we went long. For Chris and Scott, I am Frank. Thank you all for listening and watching Fantasy Baseball today. We'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.